Hello, English students. Welcome to your English class number 6, Intermediate Level. Muito bem, então nessa aula nós vamos ter vários textos, algumas curiosidades, coisas sobre países. Então a gente começa aqui no slide número 2 com 8 Surprising Costumes from Around the World. Muito bem, let's start with number 1, Pointing with lips in Nicaragua. In Nicaragua, it's common to point with their lips instead with the thumb or index finger, like the majority of the world. Wondering how exactly a person points with their lips? Once a Nika has their duck face on, they can direct their lips forward or side to side to indicate what they'd like to point out. So they do a duck face like that, and they point like to the left, to the right, like that. All right. Second one, kissing in France. For one, the rules vary from men and women. Secondly, the number of kisses required to complete the greeting changes from region to region. French people are expected to greet each person at a party or gathering upon arrival, whether they know the attendees or not. All right. Not too different from Brazil, right? Some people say like in Rio you have to kiss 3 times, in São Paulo 2 times, and we usually kiss when we meet somebody, so this is not so different from here. Number 3, spitting on the bride at the weddings in Greece. Gross. This practice was popularized thanks to the 2002 film My Big Fat Greek Wedding. Spitting in Greek cultures is a kind of good luck charm that is supposed to help ward off the devil. That's super weird. Okay, number 4. September 12th is the day of conception in Russia. The government has instated a public holiday to give couples time off from work in order to have sex, in the hopes that doing so will result in pregnancy. Parents whose babies are born exactly 9 months later can even win prizes for helping to keep the Russian bloodline going. Alright, number 5, tipping in the USA. Unlike many other countries who don't tip at all or who only tip in small amounts when the food was particularly good, tipping is rather mandatory at most restaurants in the US. In fact, it is expected that clients leave between 10 and 20% of the bill in tips. Bartenders, taxi drivers, and other service providers also expect to be tipped. Alright, so this is a little bit different. Like here in Brazil, we usually tip the 10% in restaurants, right? But when we take a cab, if the cab driver doesn't help with luggage or something like that, we usually don't tip. There, they expect you to tip them. And it's not like, I'll give him $1. No. 10 to 20%. Alright, so you have to pay attention when you travel to the US because you have to have some tips too. Some money, some extra cash to tip people over there. Okay, let's go to slide number 4. Hanging out in cemeteries in Denmark. Alright, while cemeteries are spooky sites in many countries, this is not so much the case in Denmark. Many people might prefer to hang out in parks, but the Danes find it becoming to convert their cemeteries into areas for socializing a more pragmatic use of the space. That makes sense, right? But it's weird. Number 7, slurping in Japan. Alright, so let's see. Making slurping sounds when eating noodles in Japan is a way of indicating that you are really enjoying them. Some scientists even argue that slurping brings air to the palate and actually enhances the noodle's flavor. And last one, number 8, kneeling or lying prostrate as greeting in Nigeria. Okay. So for members of the Yoruba people, an ethnic group from Nigeria, greeting rituals are taken quite seriously. This is especially true in regards to greeting elders. When an adult approaches, Yoruba youths are expected to drop to their knees in greeting. More specifically, women kneel when greeting and men typically lie prostrate. These gestures are a sign of respect and deference for the elders of the community. Okay, so they have this different way to greet when they have an older person near them. Okay, so here we have the use of there is and there are, there was and there were. So let's read. Em português, costumamos utilizar o verbo ter para falarmos que há ou existe algo. Então é muito comum trocarmos o there is ou there are pelo have. Porém, em inglês, não utilizamos o verbo have quando a tradução de ter na frase pode ser substituído por há ou existem. Então, basicamente, a gente tem costume de usar o have quando não é para usar. Então, pensando, eu vou traduzir uma frase que tenha a palavra ter, né? Aí, você tem que pensar da seguinte maneira. Esse ter pode ser substituído por há ou existe? Esse tinha pode ser substituído por havia ou existia? Então, não é o have que você vai usar. É o there is, there are, there was ou there were, né? Então, there is é o há ou existe, né, no presente para singular. There are, há ou existem, presente no plural. There was, passado no singular, havia, existia. There were, passado no plural, haviam ou existiam. Tá? Então, vamos ver aqui, temos exemplo. Tem pessoas que estudam um idioma estrangeiro. Desculpa, tem muitas pessoas que estudam um idioma estrangeiro atualmente. Tem muitas pessoas, há muitas pessoas, existem muitas pessoas. Então é o there are que eu vou usar. There are many people that study a foreign language nowadays. Exemplo número 2. Naquele lugar tinha todo tipo de gente. Tinha todo tipo de gente. Havia todo tipo de gente. Então é o there is ou there are. Então, in that place, there were all kinds of people. Ok, gente? Então, só para não trocar, porque fica tão feio em inglês quando você troca o there is, there are pelo have, ou there was, there were pelo had. Então, não se percam nisso, tá, gente? Se você vê que dá para substituir por are ou existe, você vai usar o there is e o there are, ok? Mesma coisa, para fazer pergunta, você vai usar aquela regra do verbo to be. Was there, were there, is there, are there, ok? Então, em caso de pergunta, em caso de negativa, né, só colocar um note depois, essas regras vocês já sabem, né? Perfeito. Seguindo em frente, no slide número 6, nós temos Road Trip Through North America. Então, nós temos um texto aqui de 2 páginas, que eu falei, né, que tinha bastante texto, que vai falar sobre uma viagem de carro, né? Road trip, né? Quando você viaja de carro. Muito bem, então vamos ver aqui. Last year, my friends and I decided to go on a road trip through North America. We started our trip in Tijuana, Mexico. We rented a car and moved towards Mexican borders with the United States. We didn't spend much time in Mexico, but I could tell that Mexican people are really welcoming and joyful. At the border, there is a checking point where the American officers check everybody's passports, visas, and take a look at the vehicles to make sure there are no illegal drugs. Once we crossed the border, we arrived in San Diego. It is a beautiful city. There are lots of beaches, young people, and bars. We decided to spend one night there, so we booked a motel by the main road. It was very simple, but they offered good breakfast options. After driving for only 2 hours, we arrived in Los Angeles. I always wanted to go to the movies land to see the Hollywood sign, the Walk of Fame, and the famous people's mansions. There is so much to see there. From LA, we took the road to Las Vegas. It was a 4-hour drive through I-5 North. Vegas, the way they call it, is a city to have fun. There are lots of casinos and nightclubs. We definitely had a good time there. Slide number 7. Next stop was San Francisco. That trip was a little longer. We spent over 8 hours driving. We took turns so nobody would get too tired. San Francisco is a beautiful city but too windy. We rented bikes and we rode by the beach from the Pier 39 to the Golden Gate Bridge. After that, we took a ferry and went to a really cute city called Sausalito, and we had some ice cream. After spending 2 hours in San Francisco, we drove to Portland. That was also a long journey, over 10 hours driving. We were driving for 5 hours, then we decided we had to stop for gas. We saw a cute motel and decided to call it a night and go back to the road the next day. When we finally made it to Portland, we spent the whole time shopping because the state of Oregon doesn't charge taxes over shopping. So everything was cheaper. We squeezed the things we bought in the trunk and kept our trip towards Seattle. Seattle is really similar to Portland, but bigger and cleaner. We visited the Pike Place Market, the Space Needle, and the first Starbucks. We also had a picnic on Golden Gardens Beach. It was awesome. We finished the trip in Vancouver, Canada, a short 3 hours drive from Seattle. Vancouver is amazing. We went to parks and beaches. I definitely want to do that trip again. Alright, so slide number 8 is just the vocabulary for the text. Alright. And slide number 9, we have the video vocabulary. So you also have a video that talks about some places, some cities, which is very interesting. So take a look at that, use the vocabulary, and I see you in class. Bye bye everybody.